Welcome to Spiritual Dessert Trews for Russell Brand, episode 28. So, we're still working on this biocentric book. I think we'll be working on it for a little while. In fact, it motivates me to read it if I'm getting spoiled. It's like, well, all right, I'll put on clothes. No. Do you do that? You just get into your house and you're like, oh, thank God. And you just get in the house and start taking everything off. First the shoes, leave them by the door, and then just take the rest off, like all of it. And usually I don't put anything on, like not even makeup or a hat maybe for fun or for the sun on the deck, or like a piece of jewelry to remind me like how far the camera should go. Now, that's not going to help with the bedtime story. It could. No. We're on chapter 2 already. We're doing good. In the beginning, there was what? All things are one. Ooh. Heraclitus. On the universe, 540 to 480 BC. That's my book. Sorry. It's always doing that. Can't get enough light. How can a man whose career revolves around stretching the scientific method as to its outer bonds, stem cell research, animal cloning, reversing the aging process at the cellular level, bear witness to the limits of his profession? But there is more to life than also can be explained in our science. I readily recall how everyday life makes this obvious. Just a short time ago, I crossed this causeway of the small island I call home. The pond was dark and still. I stomped and turned off my flashlight. Several strange, glowing objects caught my attention on the side of the road. I thought they were some of those jack-o'-lantern mushrooms. My little nephew's so confident. I just adore him. He's 7, and so he's got all these brand new teeth kind of coming in at different stages, and they're a little bit big, extra big, chiclet like mine. So yes, he's always pretending to be a little lion, and he's hilarious. So he told me that he knows he looks like a jack-o'-lantern. And he smiled, really big smile anyway. Which is what you should do if you end up with a jack-o'-lantern smile in, yes, pubescent teeth. That poor kid. Whose luminescent caps had just started to push up through the decaying leaves. I squatted down to observe one of them with my flashlight, and it turned out to be a glowworm. The luminous larvae of the European beetle. There was a primitiveness in its little segment. Oops, I'm in the dark, aren't I? That's good. That's why I've got this nice detective hat on. Yes, crawled out of the Cambrian Sea. Oh, 500 million years ago. There we were, the beetle and I, two living objects that had entered into one another's worlds, and yet we were fundamentally linked together. Oh. In music, I get fired now. On radio. Moment of silence filled with laughter. It ceased emitting its greenish light, and I, like in my last episode, the green light from my hat, for my part, turned off my flashlight. I wondered if our little interaction was any different from that of any other two objects in the universe. Was the primitive little grub just another collection of atoms, proteins, molecules spinning like planets around the sun? Could it be grasped by a mechanist's logic? It is true that the laws of physics and chemistry can tackle the rudimentary biology of living systems, and as a medical doctor, I can recite in detail the chemical foundations and cellular organization of animal cells, oxidation, biophysical metabolism, all the carbohydrates, lipids, and that was so rude. So we're talking about the carbohydrates, the lipids, the amino acid patterns. Rip! No. There was more to this luminous little bug than the sum of its biochemical functions. A full understanding of life cannot be found only by looking at cells and molecules. Conversely, physical existence cannot be divorced from the animal life and structures that coordinate sense, perception, and experience. It seems likely that this creature was the center of its own sphere of physical reality, just as I was the center of mine. We were connected not only by intertwined consciousnesses, nor simply by being alive at the same moment in Earth's 3.9 billion year biological history, but by something both mysterious and suggestive. A pattern that is a template for the cosmos itself. Just as the mere existence of a postage stamp of Elvis would reveal to an alien visitor much more than a frozen snapshot of pop music history, the slug had a tale to tell that could illuminate even the depths of a wormhole, if we only had the right mindset to understand it. Although the beetle stayed it's going to baffle me. I'm supposed to be in bed. Oh, there in the darkness. It had little walking legs neatly lined up under its segmented body and possessed sensory cells that transmitted messages to the cells in the brain. Perhaps the creature was too primitive to collect data and pinpoint my location in space. Maybe my existence in its universe was limited to some huge and hairy shadow stabilizing a flashlight in the air. I do not know. But as I stood up and left, I no doubt dispensed into the haze of probability surrounding the glowworm's little world. Our science to date has failed to recognize those special properties of life that make it fundamental to material reality. This view of the world in which life and consciousness are the bottom line in understanding the larger universe, biocentrism. I said it wrong before. It was so funny. Did you catch it? Revolves around the way a subjective experience, which we call consciousness, relates to a physical process. You're already sleeping, that's good. Are you? Just a bit more. It is a vast mystery that I have pursued my entire life with a lot of help along the way, standing on the shoulders of some of the greatest and most lauded minds of the modern age. I have also come to conclusions that would shock the conventions of my predecessors, placing biology above the other sciences in an attempt to find the theory of everything that has evaded other disciplines. Good night. The end. The spiritual nutrition dessert truths for Russell. Night, night.